Imagine waking up one morning checking your bank account for your Social Security deposit and realizing it never arrived. No alert, no pending status, just zero balance. And worse, no one is answering your calls. To most people, this might sound like a dramatic exaggeration. But what if I told you that scenario is not only possible, it may be closer than you think? Behind the calm exterior of government reports and political reassurances, the Social Security system is under historic pressure, and it's reaching a critical point quietly, dangerously, and faster than anyone expected. This isn't just a story about money. This is about the collapse of trust, the risk to national stability, and the potential unraveling of a promise made to generations of hardworking Americans. Today, we peel back the curtain and expose what no one wants to say publicly: Social Security may not survive in its current form. Let's start with the basics. Social Security was born during the Great Depression, a time when America desperately needed hope and financial safety nets. It worked. For decades, workers paid in, retirees collected out. Simple, right? But times have changed. Today's reality is brutal. We're living longer, retiring earlier, having fewer children, all while healthcare costs skyrocket and inflation continues to hammer fixed incomes. This demographic shift means fewer workers supporting more retirees, and that equation is now financially unsustainable. In 1950, there were 16 workers paying into the system for every retiree. In 2025, that ratio is closer to 2.7 to 1 and shrinking. The entire Social Security model was built on the assumption of a young, growing workforce. But now, that foundation is crumbling. What's more alarming, the Social Security Trust Fund is burning through reserves. The 2024 Trustees Report states that by 2033, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund could be fully depleted. But independent financial models, ones not diluted by political messaging, warn that even 2030 may be overly optimistic. Why? Because of compounding risks. The COVID-19 pandemic caused economic shockwaves that haven't fully recovered. Baby boomers are retiring at a rate of over 10,000 people per day, and the younger workforce is struggling under stagnant wages and job insecurity. This means lower payroll tax contributions, while benefits continue to rise. And what about inflation? The cost of living adjustment (COLA) in 2023 was 8.7%, the highest in 40 years. While this helped seniors keep up with prices, it also added billions in additional payout obligations. Each COLA increase brings temporary relief but also deeper debt for the system. And let's talk politics. Congress knows this is coming. They've known for decades. Yet real reform is treated like political suicide. Proposals to raise the retirement age, lift the payroll tax cap, or means test benefits are all met with fierce opposition. So year after year, they kick the can down the road, hoping someone else will take the blame. Meanwhile, the U.S. national debt continues to balloon, crossing $35 trillion in 2025. With rising interest payments and growing federal obligations, where will the government find extra funds to save Social Security without sparking another economic crisis? Worse, debt ceiling battles in Congress have come dangerously close to disrupting Social Security payments. In 2023 and again in 2025, lawmakers flirted with defaulting on U.S. obligations. Treasury officials quietly warned that even temporary gridlock could mean delayed checks for seniors. Now imagine this scenario: a cyber attack, economic collapse, or political shutdown delays benefits by even 1 week. For millions living paycheck to paycheck, even a minor disruption could cause catastrophic ripple effects: missed medications, unpaid rent, utility cutoffs. Social Security is not just a financial tool. It's the backbone of economic survival for 70 million Americans. If that system falters, the consequences won't be theoretical. They'll be immediate and devastating. And the problem isn't just retirees. Social Security covers disabled workers, surviving spouses, and dependent children. It's interwoven into every level of society. A failure in this system would destabilize communities, increase homelessness, and overburden social safety nets nationwide. What's more chilling is that Washington knows all of this and still remains paralyzed. Behind closed doors, analysts at the Congressional Budget Office, the Treasury, and independent think tanks have already gamed out the impact of various collapse timelines. And some of those simulations are terrifying. One report leaked in early 2025 suggested that without reform, Benefit cuts as high as 23% could hit seniors as early as 2029. That means a $1,500 monthly check could drop to $1,155 with no advance notice and no safety cushion. And here's something most people overlook: Social Security benefits are taxed. Nearly half of all recipients pay federal income tax on a portion of their benefits. This quietly reduces monthly income even further, especially for those with modest pensions or other retirement savings. One of the most frequently discussed solutions is raising the payroll tax cap. Currently, only the first $168,600 of a person's annual income is subject to Social Security taxes. Any income beyond that is not taxed for Social Security purposes. This creates a loophole for high-income earners who make millions but contribute a much smaller percentage of their total income to the system compared to the average worker. If Congress decides to lift or completely eliminate this cap, it could bring in billions of dollars in additional revenue each year to the Social Security Trust Fund. However, this solution is politically sensitive, as it faces resistance from powerful high-income lobbying groups that oppose higher contributions from the wealthy. Another option on the table is increasing the payroll tax rate itself. Currently, both employees and employers each contribute 6.2% of wages, making a combined total of 12.4%. If that rate is increased to just 7% per side, it could generate significant additional funding over time. While this might seem like a minor adjustment, when applied across the entire workforce, the impact is massive. But the downside is that it puts additional strain on low and middle income workers, many of whom are already battling inflation and stagnant wages. The government would have to walk a fine line raising funds without overburdening the very workers the system is meant to support. A third proposed solution involves raising the full retirement age. When Social Security was first introduced, life expectancy was around 60–65 years. Today, many people live well into their 80s or 90s. Yet they still retire at 62 or 67, meaning the system is paying out benefits for much longer than originally anticipated. If the full retirement age were gradually increased to 69 or 70, it could ease the financial burden by delaying payouts and reducing the number of years benefits are collected. However, this is also controversial. People in physically demanding jobs like factory workers, construction laborers, and truck drivers might not be able to work longer due to health constraints, making a higher retirement age impractical and unfair for many. A more radical idea being floated is partial privatization through optional personal accounts. Under this plan, workers would be allowed to divert a portion of their Social Security contributions into private retirement accounts, which they could invest. This model has been tried in countries like Chile and Australia with mixed results. The potential upside is that individuals could see better returns over time and take more control of their financial future. However, the risk is also significant. A market crash like those in 2008 or 2020 could wipe out years of retirement savings. For such a system to work, Americans would need strong financial literacy, access to reliable investment tools, and safeguards against predatory practices and volatility. One thing all experts agree on is this: the longer we wait, the worse the fixes will have to be. A 2% tax increase implemented today might solve the issue gradually. But if action is delayed until 2030 or beyond, a 5% or higher tax hike could be necessary. Similarly, a 1-year increase in retirement age might be manageable today, but in the future, a 3-year hike could become the only option. Time is no longer a luxury. Inaction comes with compounding consequences. Every year of delay increases the severity of the reforms needed and decreases the number of options available. Political paralysis today means deeper economic pain tomorrow. In the meantime, individuals must take control of their own retirement planning. Financial advisors strongly urge Americans not to rely solely on Social Security for their future. Instead, they recommend building diversified retirement income streams such as 401(k)s, IRAs, real estate investments, dividend-paying stocks, and even carefully chosen digital assets. Having multiple income sources is the key to surviving economic uncertainty. At the same time, stay vigilant. The government can quietly introduce changes to benefit formulas, eligibility rules, or cost of living adjustments, COLAs, without major media coverage. Regularly review updates to Social Security guidelines, tax thresholds, and legislative proposals. Being informed and proactive is your best defense against being caught off guard. Many Americans grew up believing Social Security was a promise, an unshakable pillar of retirement. For decades, that promise held strong. But the truth is, Social Security was never designed to withstand the pressures of the modern world. It was created in a very different era when the average life expectancy was lower, birth rates were higher, and the workforce was expanding rapidly. That economic model simply doesn't fit today's demographic and financial realities. Now, with longer lifespans and shrinking worker-to-retiree ratios, the strain on the system has become overwhelming. We must come to terms with a hard truth: Social Security is no longer guaranteed. Every projection shows that, without immediate and aggressive intervention, the trust funds will be depleted possibly within this very decade. If that happens, future beneficiaries might receive only 70% to 75% of their expected payments. Imagine planning your entire retirement around a number, only to receive a shocking pay cut when you need it most. That's not just financial instability, it's financial betrayal. And yet, many Americans remain unaware of how close we are to that cliff. But this crisis goes far beyond numbers and budgets. It's a moral crisis, a reflection of national priorities, or perhaps the lack of them. What message does it send when a government can fund foreign wars, corporate bailouts, and political pet projects, but can't protect the retirement income of its own elderly citizens? It signals a generational failure, one that places the burden of political inaction squarely on the shoulders of those who sacrificed and worked their whole lives. This looming collapse could redefine what it means to retire in America. Think about the ripple effects. If Social Security falters, what happens to seniors who depend on it for groceries, rent, or critical medications? What happens to the children and grandchildren who will have to step in financially? Retirement, once seen as a peaceful phase of life, could become a decade of stress and insecurity, with more people being forced back into work, downsizing homes, or relying on charity to survive. The dream of a stable old age may vanish not because we didn't plan, but because the system broke its end of the deal. Now is the time to ask the difficult questions. Are you ready for what's coming? Are you preparing for a reality where Social Security may no longer be reliable? Or are you still trusting a system that's running on borrowed time? Ignoring the signs could mean financial disaster. But taking steps now, learning, saving, diversifying, could be the difference between surviving and struggling when the system finally cracks. Because make no mistake, the warnings are there. Economists, whistleblowers, and even some government reports have quietly admitted the timeline is shrinking. If Washington remains silent, and reforms continue to be delayed, the collapse of Social Security won't be a surprise, it will be a consequence. And it may arrive much sooner than anyone dares to believe. If you found this video eye-opening, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a critical update. We're committed to helping you navigate the financial storm ahead with facts, clarity, and foresight. Disclaimer: this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to serve as financial, legal, or political advice. The content reflects a speculative analysis based on publicly available data, expert opinions, and current events as of the date of recording. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, we cannot guarantee the completeness or reliability of the information presented. Viewers are encouraged to conduct their own research, consult with licensed financial advisors, and stay informed through official government channels before making any financial decisions. The scenarios discussed are hypothetical and meant to raise awareness, not cause panic. We do not claim any insider knowledge, and this video does not represent any official position or forecast from the U.S. government or Social Security Administration.